Ajnanatamrandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalatam Yaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gulshan.
I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisance unto him.
Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Okay, we're continuing our reading of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, entitled Knowledge of the Absolute, text number 12. So this is knowledge in relationship with God, this chapter, knowledge of the Absolute. What kind of knowledge are we getting at the moment? The knowledge of God's what? Knowledge of God's energies. Yes, very good. Give yourself a pat on the back, Gulshan. Knowledge of God's energies. So God's energies also very important to understand. Not just God. God is not alone. It's not just Krishna playing the flute. He also has unlimited energies. Like, for example, we're his energies. The souls, we're all his energies. And that was mentioned in text number 5 of this chapter, that the spirit souls are also his energy. And also all the material elements, that's his energy. And here we're hearing about so many different wonderful things in the universe that are also his energies. Intelligence of the intelligent, that's one. What's some other ones? Can you remember? Or have a peek at the book?
Okay, all this energy anyway, it's
everything.
Water, sun, everything is energy.
Yeah, he says, I am the taste of water, I am the light of the sun and the moon, I am the heat and fire.
Taste of water.
Yeah, the taste of water, like that. The strength of the strong, like that. So even the last one we heard about, he says he is sex life. If it's performed according to religious principles, he says, I am sex life. You know, according to religion. So we talked about that last week, like that. So yeah, everything is his energy. That's what Maya means. Maya means forgetting that everything has a relationship with Krishna. You know, that forgetting that's Maya. And remembering that everything, seeing everything has a relationship with Krishna, that's Krishna consciousness. That's what is, if someone asks you, what is Krishna consciousness, what would you say? I mean, there's many things you could say.
Acknowledging all of God's energy. You just
you know, it's always been conscious of Krishna. When you taste the water, you're conscious of Krishna. When you see the sun in the daytime, the moon at the night, when you light a fire and feel the nice warmth from that, when you smell a flower, you know, that you're Krishna conscious. This is Krishna. This is Krishna's energy. This comes from Krishna. You know, everything like that. So that's Krishna consciousness, to always be thinking about Krishna and seeing everything's relationship with Krishna. That's Krishna consciousness. And forgetfulness of that, everything's relationship with Krishna, that's called Maya. That's illusion. Okay, so today's one, text 12. So we'll read the Sanskrit. Ye chaiva sattvika bhava.
Ye chaiva sattvika bhava.
Rajasastamasa
Rajasastamasa
Mata eveti tanvidi.
Mata eveti tanvidi.
Na tvaham teshu te mahi.
Na
tvaham teshu te mahi.
In this last line, it's got TV. It's not TV like looking at the TV, but you join it. It says actually it means but. So it comes from to means but. So you join it with the aham. So you join the T with the NA before it. So you say nat tvaham. You get it? Nat vaham. Nat Na tva hum. That makes it. You don't go na tva aham teishu. It won't fit. It won't fit. So you join them together. Na tva ham teishu te mai. That's how you
But
do it.
in Sanskrit, it's a two different word. Na is a separate and Twaham is a separate.
I know, but for singing it, you join it all together. It's a flow. It flows. That's what singing is, a flow, right? You're not going na twa aham te shu te mai. You're singing it. Na twa ham te shu te mai. So it's all flowing together. You're not separating the words.
Yeah.
You're not separating the words. Okay. Who wants to have a go? Both of you go. Practice.
Ye chava satvika baha.
Ye
Ye chaiva satvika bhava.
Rajasas tamasa chaivi.
Rajasas tamasas chaye.
Matai veti tan vidi.
Mata eveti tanvidi.
Natvaham tesute mahi.
Natvaham teshu te mai. You did it, Bob. You joined it properly. That's right. Nice. Nice. And just to let you know, like that tamasash, if it's got a stroke above the S, you pronounce it like sha.
So sorry, where are you looking?
That second one, rajasas tamasas chaye.
Yep.
So it's like sha.
Rajasas tamasas chavi.
Sha. So
Chavi.
if it's got a stroke above the S, it's like sha.
Sha. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say tama, it's sha at the end. Tamasha. Tamasha. Chi. Is that it?
Tamasas chaye. So you go tamasas chaye. It's a long. If it's got a line above the A, it's a long A. So tamasas chaye. Yeah, something like that.
No, yeah.
Good enough.
Good enough. Okay, Gulshan, English translation.
Know that all states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am in one sense everything, but I am independent. I am not under the mode of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me.
So there's a, what do you call it? You call it, as a word, a dichotomy, or when you have two statements and they're apparently contradictory, two contradictory statements, and do you call that a dichotomy? I can't remember. I'll have to use the dictionary later and have a look. But it seems like there's a bit of a contradiction here, because he says I am in one sense everything. Okay, Krishna's saying he's everything.
Yep.
But then he follows, but I am independent. So then he's saying I am everything, but I am separate from everything. So it seems like contradictory, right? I'm everything, but I'm separate from everything.
Yeah.
So
is that ambiguous? Is it ambiguous? Is that the word you're thinking of?
It's a bit ambiguous how that works, because it's called. I mean, you could say in one sense you could call it inconceivable. It's a bit hard, isn't it, with our mind to conceive of that statement, where Krishna's saying he's everything, but he's separate from everything. So
can you Abhay, can you just clear up? I know what you've said, but where it says know that all states of being.
Yeah.
What does that mean? States of being.
States of being means there's 3 states, and that's mentioned, 3 states of being. So it's either the state of goodness,
I see. They are the
state of
goodness,
passion, the state of
passion,
ignorance.
and
So
ignorance.
those are the 3 states. I mean, often it's called the 3 modes of material nature, right? So we talked about Maya. Maya is this world of illusion, this universe of the souls and the material world. There's this illusory energy. So the illusory energy works in 3 different states or modes. So it works in the mode of or state of goodness, the mode or state of passion, the mode or state of ignorance. And you can't find any state other than that in the material world. You know, it's either one of those 3. There's nothing else. I mean, the only other thing there is transcendental. You know, so if God comes to the material world, then he's not in any of those states. And that's what he says here. I am not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. So when God comes in whatever incarnation comes to the material world, he's not in any of those 3 states. He's transcendental. He's spiritual. And also the pure devotee of the Lord, like Prabhupada, right? He's not in any one of those 3 states. Is Prabhupada in the mode of goodness?
Of course.
No, he's not.
No?
Well, it's actually called pure goodness. It's called Shuddha Sattva.
Shuddha Sattva.
It's not actually Sattva. Sattva mode of goodness, Prabhupada is beyond that. He's transcendental to that. That's a material quality. The mode of goodness, Sattva Guna,
is the pure devotee.
Yeah, pure devotee. I mean, not someone that's, I mean, sort of in and out of Krishna consciousness. I mean, yeah, sometimes we come up to the transcendental platform, like when you're on a kirtan, right? You come up to the transcendental platform, but when you walk out the door, maybe you're on one of those 3 states, you know. So hopefully you don't walk into the liquor shop after being in the kirtan. But you know, you know, but I mean, some funny things happen. You know, people struggle to be Krishna conscious, you know, mostly go in and out of Krishna consciousness. And but a pure devotee is always on the transcendental platform, always on the transcendental platform. And we can read that, and let's just skip to discuss this point, sidestep for a sec. 14th chapter, text 26. Nearly at the end of
1426.
Yeah, 1426, second to last chapter.
Engage in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the mode of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahma.
Yeah, so it is possible in the material world to be transcendental to the 3 states or the 3 modes. And how is it possible? One who engages in full devotional service. That's how it's possible. So the pure devotee is one who's fully engaged in devotional service. They don't do anything else.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's 9 processes of devotional service, right? So you look at any time in their day, 24 hours, and they're doing one of those 9. They're either Shravanam, they're hearing about Krishna, or they're Kirtanam, they're chanting about Krishna, talking about Krishna, or Vishnu Smaranam, they're remembering Krishna, or Padasevanam, they're serving the Lord's lotus feet, Vandanam, or they're offering prayers, like that, Dasyam, menial service, Sakyam, engaged in a friendly relationship.
The sannyasi that pretty much does. You know, in ISKCON, the sannyasi, those who has a sannyasi in ISKCON.
Yeah, that's the idea. That's what that ashram is based on, that principle, that you're not engaged in any materialistic activities. You're fully engaged.
Nothing, just to be engaged in Krishna service only.
Yeah, they're always hearing about Krishna, talking about Krishna, remembering Krishna like that. So that's the idea there, to bring us to that point where we're fully engaged in devotional service. So it's not a mystical kind of thing, you know, that you're transcendental, you're spiritual, you're really spiritual. It's not just airy, fairy, mystical, everything like that. No, it's very solid things, very practical things that bring us up to that transcendental platform. It's not that you're spiritual because of the way you look, because you have you know, a big frizzy hair or something, or no hair, or you wear flowing robes, silk robes, or something makes you. It's not like that, but it's whether how much you're engaged in devotional service that determines that you're transcendental or not. And that could be in a man's body, it could be in a woman's body, could be transcendental. Could be a young body, could be an old body, could be a black body or a white body. So it's got nothing to do with your body or where you come from. You could have been born in New Zealand or Australia, or you could have been born in India, could have been born in Africa. You know, you could be deformed. You know, you could be highly materially qualified, or you could have no material qualifications. It simply depends on how much one is engaged in devotional service, determining how much transcendental we are. So the pure devotee, like Prabhupada, he's also not within these three states or three modes. But generally, everything in the material world is one of the three. It's either in goodness, or it's in passion, or it's ignorance. There's nothing other than that, generally. Like, for example, food, right? Food is in one of these three categories. There's no other category. You know, what? Okay, food in the mode of goodness, what's that? You can have a look. It's in the 18th chapter.
18th chapter?
Yep. And I know you're going to ask me which text, but I got to find it. 18th chapter. It's early on in the 18th chapter. Early on. It's either that or it's the 17th. It could be the 17th chapter, actually.
What do you ask?
Hang on.
Yes.
Yeah, my second guess was correct. 17th chapter, text 8.
I've got it.
Yeah. Okay, someone can read text 8?
Yep. You right, Gulshan?
Yeah, you go ahead. It's okay.
Okay, foods dear to those in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart.
So food in the mode of goodness. Okay, Gulshan, and the mode of passion?
Mode of passion in the food. They are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, burning, are the dear to those who are made of passion. Such food cause distress, misery, and diseases.
Okay, Bob, text 10.
Food
Ignorance.
prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten. Food that is tasteless, decomposed, and putrid. The food consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to those in the mode of darkness.
And in the purport of this verse, Prabhupada says, part way down, he says, in the past, great authorities selected those foods. So it's about third line in the paragraph. In the past, great authorities selected those foods that best aid health and increase life's duration, such as milk products, sugar, rice, wheat, fruits, and vegetables. These foods are very dear to those in the mode of goodness. Yeah, and then Prabhupada says further down that, let's have a look. Food in the mode of passion, which are bitter, next paragraph, too salty, too hot, or overly mixed with red pepper, cause misery by reducing the mucus in the stomach, leading to disease. So that's in the mode of passion. Then in ignorance, food in the mode of ignorance or darkness are essentially that are not fresh. Any food cooked more than 3 hours before it is eaten, except prasadam, fruit offered to the Lord. So there's an exception to that. You can eat prasadam a long time after it's been cooked, because that food is transcendental.
Yeah, that's why I was concerned, because I'm living by myself and I cook that and I offer, but I can't finish it in one go. I can't just cook only for one person. When you cook that, you cook for at least leftover for the evening or next morning. So, but I offer it to become a prasadam so that I can eat.
Yeah. So, but you should offer it to Krishna within 3 hours of cooking it.
Oh yeah, well straight away. But I just want to see it.
So, and then that food can be eaten later. But generally, you know, if it's not prasadam, then if it's not eaten within 3 hours of being cooked, then it's in the mode of ignorance, like that. But even so, even prasadam, I know, for example, Prabhupada said rice should be eaten hot, you know, straight after it's cooked. He says if that old rice is like useless, you know, and he said you shouldn't reheat rice also, he said, you know, so there's a few statements like that. It might be hard to follow, but it's not so good for the health, you know, if you don't eat food that's fresh, you know, freshly cooked. Yeah. Even Prabhupada didn't like eating chapatis or rotis unless they were fresh off the fire,
dough and
the griddle. You know, he didn't like eating cold ones. You know, because they're easier to digest when they're hot and they're fresh. So of course, modern day society, we eat so much old food, isn't it? It's either tin food or frozen food, or you know, like that. You know, like it's been microwaved, you know, old and then microwaved or and it's in the mode of ignorance, you know, and means it's not good for the health, you know, and also in the mode of passion. He mentions like that too much chili is in the mode of passion. So you think, you know, well, fruit, vegetables, and like that, dairy products and grains is in the mode of goodness. But even some of those vegetables in that, like chili, you could say is a vegetable. Well, you could call it a fruit too, because it actually hangs from a tree like a fruit. So whether you call it a fruit or a vegetable, but if you have too much of it, if the food's too hot, and then it burns, as Prabhupada says, your stomach lining and causes ulcers, you know, and like that, which is obviously leads to disease, you know, then it's in the mode of passion. And lemon, right, that's a fruit, right? So it's in the mode of goodness. But if you have too much of it, like it says, if you eat too sour food, like one thing as sour as lemon, right? Or yogurt, right? So yogurt is in the mode of goodness. Lemon's in the mode of goodness. But if you have too much of it, salt, right? You can't eat food without salt. But if you have too much salt, then it's in the mode of passion. And then it leads to disease. So anytime we eat things that lead to disease, which is generally an excess, when you have an excess of something, then that turns from goodness into passion when you have too much like that. So it's interesting. So that my point is that everything in the material world fits into one of these three states or modes, everything. Even worship, right? Worship also fits within these three modes. Let's go a little bit earlier. Text 4 of this chapter, 17, text 4, a few verses earlier.
Men, the made of goodness, worship the demigods. Those in the mode of passion worship demons, and those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirit.
Yeah, so even worship fits into one of those three states or modes. You get it? But what you could say here, why it doesn't mention anywhere here worshipping God, worshipping Krishna. Yeah, because that's transcendental. That's why. That's not mentioned here within any of the modes because that's transcendental. But within the modes, these are the three different states. In the mode of goodness, you worship demigods. In the mode of passion, worship demons. And in the mode of ignorance, worship ghosts and spirits. So you can tell a person which mode they're in. You could tell which mode a person's in by these different things. You know, like by the food that someone eats, you can tell what mode they're in. By what kind of worship they've engaged in, you can tell what mode they're in, like that. So everything, you know, the way someone talks, the way they give charity, the way they give charity. Let's look at charity. Okay, text number 21 of this chapter.
Text 21.
Oh, 20. Start with 20. 20, 21, 22. 3. Because it's 3 modes, right? So 3 texts. Text 20.
Charity given out of duty without expectations of return at the proper time and a place, and to worthy person is considered to be the mode of goodness. But charity performed with the exception of some return, expectations of some return, or with the desire of fruitive result, or grudging mood.
Grudging mood means I don't really want to give it to you. But I know I have to give it to, I know I have to give this, but I don't really want to give it. So you're not giving it out of the love of your heart. You're giving it in a grudging way means, oh, I don't want to give you anything, but I know it's my duty to give it to you. I have to give it. You know, people are going to think bad of me if I don't give you something. So I'm going to give it, you know, so like that. So that's in the mode of passion.
Is said to be a charity in the mode of passion.
Bob, do you want to read the last one?
And charity performed at an impure place, at an improper time, to unworthy persons, or without proper attention and respect, is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
So even you can tell what mode a person's in by the way they give charity, like that.
So bear with me, what would you call an impure place?
Impure place means you give charity in a brothel, or McDonald's.
No, that's, I understand. Okay.
Yeah, or in the casino or something, or you know, in a slaughterhouse. I'm gonna give charity in the slaughterhouse. No, you don't give it in a slaughterhouse. You give it in a holy place, you know, and ideally a temple or some holy place, like at the Ganges River, like that, you know, at the Ganges. Give it
to a Brahmin.
Yeah, and it's mentioned, and also an impure person. So what is that? So, you know, you should give it to a pure person. It means like a Brahmin or a devotee or something like that. Not an impure. What's an impure person? Like, you know, a drunkard, a womanizer, you know, like that, a butcher, you know, like that. You know, you don't give charity to those kind of persons. They're in the mode of ignorance. They're impure. Yeah, impure because what makes us, I mean, the soul is always pure. Even like Jesus says, we should talk about Jesus because we just passed through Christmas. So that it says there, right? You should hate the sin, not the sinner. Hate the sin, not the sinner. Actually, the soul is pure. The sinner is the soul. But the soul is pure, but we're contaminated by sin, by sinful activities, you know, bad karma. So we should hate the bad karma, not the person that performs it, because they're doing that because they're an illusion, they're in ignorance. They're in ignorance, they're an illusion. But deep down, there's a pure soul there that's part and parcel of God, part of Krishna. And only due to being covered by Maya or illusion is acting in sinful ways. But we don't ignore the sinful activity, that we have to see that. Hey, mate, that's wrong. You can't do that. That's sinful. You're not allowed to, you know, kill or rape or, you know, lie. Hey, don't lie. That's wrong, mate. Can't do that. You know, so we pull people up, you know, but we don't hate the soul inside. They're just they're completely deluded in ignorance like that. But we try to give them knowledge. We try to give people knowledge how to get out of that ignorance. But we don't like the sinful activities. Definitely like that. So yeah, impure person means, you know, a person is in the mode of ignorance, so they're engaged in, you know, like the 4 sinful activities, right? Meat eating, intoxication, lust, sex, gambling. So that makes us an impure person. You know, and so, if we,
So can I ask a question? So, and Gilshan, you might also know this. What's the situation with? Do you pronounce it an Angori or the Agori? You know, that is it a tribe or spiritual people in India that live on dead bodies?
Agori.
Agori.
Yeah, they are the Shiva's devotee. And they live in the cremation ground. And yeah, that's, I know which one you're talking about. They live in the usually on the cremation ground, and then maybe in night time, and they just sleep with the dead bodies. It's they're the Shiva's devotee. It's called Agori.
So I've watched them. I know who you're talking about. I've watched them. So where do they stand spiritually?
They're in the mode of ignorance. They're in the mode of ignorance.
Ignorance, right?
They're in ignorance. By their activities, you can see that's in the mode of ignorance.
But
I mean, living in a crematory is in the mode of ignorance, and eating dead bodies is the mode of ignorance, and
that's right.
not
taking, but activity is ignorance.
Yeah, I mean, but the person they worship is Lord Shiva, and he's not in the mode of ignorance. I mean, he's in control of the mode of ignorance, but that doesn't mean he's in ignorance.
No.
So people in ignorance generally worship Lord Shiva.
And they're smoking that ganja and all that.
Yeah.
And then they're praying and meditation and all for the Shiva and things. But that's the things.
Yeah. He's a Vaishnava. He's a devotee of Vishnu.
Oh yeah, Shiva.
He's very kind. Like I said, the devotee doesn't hate the sinner, hates the sin. So he doesn't hate anyone. He loves everyone. He tries to help even the most sinful person. He tries to help them up. So by worshipping Lord Shiva, slowly those people in the mode of ignorance can become elevated by thinking of him and worshipping him, giving him some charity, some gift, some offering to Lord Shiva. Slowly they can progress like that. But
those in the
path, there's no hope.
They follow the Shiva. Those in the path of meditation. So if they follow the Shiva is the top meditator. Nobody comes above Shiva for meditation. So that's what it is.
Unfortunately, because they're in the mode of ignorance, they don't properly know how to respect Shiva and worship him. Actually, Krishna's devotee is the best servant of Shiva. They fully understand who Lord Shiva is and his position and what he likes, what he doesn't like. And even Shiva's wife, Parvati, one time asked her husband, "What's the best kind of worship?" And he said that the best worship is the worship of Vishnu. But even better than that, so the best worship is the worship of Vishnu, but even better than that is to worship those things that are in relation with Vishnu. That's called Tadiyanam. Tadiyanam means in relationship with the Lord. So what does that mean? What's better than worshipping Vishnu is to worship those things in a relationship with Vishnu. What's that? So that's the devotees. The devotees are connected with Vishnu. They have a relation with Vishnu. So even better than worshipping Vishnu is to worship Vishnu's devotees. Like that. So, like...
Thanks, honey, for everything.
Like devotees worship Radharani. She is Tadiya. She is very intimately related with Krishna. Or they worship the Pandavas, or a devotee of Ram worships Hanuman. So that's even, it means it pleases the Lord even more when you serve his devotees than when you serve him.
Krishna and his devotees.
Yeah, Krishna's very pleased. It's not separate. It's not that you're worshipping Krishna's devotee separately from Krishna, but it's for Krishna's pleasure. That's what Krishna likes. It's like, okay, you want to serve a rich man. How are you going to do it?
Love his dog.
Yeah, that's right. Because if you try to do some service for the rich man, what are you going to give him? He's got everything. He's got everything, but it's hard to please a rich man because he's got everything. So, but it's very easy to please his dog. Throw it a bone, or go play with it, or throw a stick or something like that, and give it a scratch or something. on the back, and then the dog will be so pleased, and then the master will be, the rich man will be very pleased with you, you know, like that.
Last year, that Queen Elizabeth's birthday, and his grandson, Prince Harry, he said that, Grandma, very hard to buy the present for you. You got everything. What can I buy for you?
Yeah.
Anything you touch is that it's yours. So very hard to buy something for you.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. So that's the philosophy that we follow. We especially try to serve and please Krishna's devotees, knowing that's the easiest and best way to please Krishna. Especially the pure devotee, back to the pure devotee again, like the spiritual master, like Prabhupada. There's a verse in the end of the Guruvastaka that we sing at Mangalarti time, the last line. Yasya prasada Bhagavad prasada, Yasya prasada nagati kutopi. That by pleasing the spiritual master, the Supreme Lord is automatically pleased. And if he's displeased, you can't make any progress.
Yes, definitely.
So yeah, if the spiritual master is pleased, then by his grace, if you please him, then the Lord is automatically pleased. And if you displease him, then you can't make any progress. Yeah, so it's very important to understand that. So yeah, worship of God or Krishna is not mentioned here because it's transcendental. This is within the modes, so these different kinds of worship. So like that, everything, doesn't matter what it is in the material world, it's either in the mode of goodness or in passion or in ignorance. So that's what it's saying here. Yeah, so let's get back to our verse for today. 7th chapter, text number 12. So yeah, know that all states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, they are manifested by my energy. So yeah, if you see something or someone in the mode of goodness, that's Krishna's energy. If you see something or someone in the mode of passion, that's Krishna's energy. Something or someone in the mode of ignorance, that's Krishna's energy, like that. It doesn't, and like it's saying at the end that I'm not under the mode, so it doesn't mean that because the drunkard is Krishna's energy, then Krishna is a drunkard. It doesn't. So that's what it's mean. The last bit is covering that, so we don't think like that. Okay, that doesn't matter what it is. Even the mode of ignorance is Krishna's energy. So Krishna is in the mode of ignorance. No, it doesn't work like that. So these energies are coming from Krishna, but Krishna himself is beyond these energies. Okay, so now we'll look more at this point, which is that, okay, everything is God, and yet God is separate from everything. So we'll look at that point quite a bit, because it's a bit of a confusing, like I said, a contradictory or inconceivable thing. So first one we'll look at is 9th chapter, text 4 covers this point. 9th chapter, text 4.
By me, in the unmanifested form, the entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them.
Once again, a little bit confusing, you know. All beings are in me, but I am not in them, you know, so like that. So everything is within Krishna. Like everything is Krishna's energy. And yet he is not in that energy. And one example Prabhupada gives, I think he gives one here. Okay, this is a good example of the king. This is a good example. So look in this purport for this verse that we're on right now, the second purport. I'm sorry, paragraph, second paragraph. You see where it says, for example, Or
Yeah.
hang on, yet one should not, start there. Yet one should not
conclude that because he is spread all over, he has lost his personal existence. To refute such an argument of the Lord says, I am everywhere and everything in me, but still I am alone. For example, a king has a government who, which is but the manifestation of the king's energy. The different government departments are nothing but the energy of king, and each of the department is resting on the king's power. But still, one cannot expect the king to be present in every department personally. That is a crude
hang on,
example.
stop there. So do you get that example? That is, it's a I think a pretty good example to help us understand the subject that seems quite inconceivable, seems quite confusing. So you've got a king, right? A king, and he has a kingdom, and he has ministers and everything like that, governors, ministers, and everything is resting on that king. He is the controller of everything within the kingdom. Everyone is working under him. So he has many departments. He has a treasury department, and whatever, a gardening department, and saying a fee, food distribution department, whatever. So many departments. But although it's all his energy, it's all running under his control. But the point is, you would not expect to find the king, sitting in that food distribution department, sitting in that treasury department. He's not in those places. He's enjoying in the palace with his queens and his kids. He's not in those different. And yet his presence, his energy, his presence, and his power, his authority is felt in all those departments. Isn't it? Whether it's happening. His presence and energies is felt in all those different departments, and everyone knows I'm working under the king. I'm one of the king's workers and everything like that. So it's all his energy, it's all under his control, like that. And so that's a nice example. Or another example Prabhupada gives in a different place is just like the owner of a factory. That it's his factory. It's his factory. He made it. He's maintaining it. He's running it. He's in control of it. But you don't expect to find him in the factory. He's out playing golf. He's not in the factory with the workers. And yet that whole factory is his energy. It's all depending on him. Does that make sense?
Understood.
So just like the owner of the factory, it's his factory, but he's separate from it. Or the king, it's his kingdom, everything. All the buildings, the land, the subjects, everything. And yet he's not in it. He's separate from it, from all those different places in the kingdom. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what happens is that if you just use the statement that everything is God, if you just use that statement alone, then God has become lost in the everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like God is just diffused everywhere. So this is what the impersonalists think, the Mayavadis, that God is distributed everywhere. He's everything. There's nothing other than God. He's everywhere. And so that means there's no personality because he's gone everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Because a person is not everywhere. A person is in one place, right? So if you say God is everywhere, then the idea is that the speculation that we get out of that, as soon as you say God is everywhere, then what we speculate is that, well, God is not a person because a person is not everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah.
So therefore it's added that God is saying, then everything is me, I am everywhere, and yet I am separate from it all. So therefore, God is letting us know that he is a person. His energy is everywhere, but he has remained as an individual person separately somewhere else. He's still a person. Otherwise, if you just say God is everything, God is everywhere, then you become like a Mayavadi impersonalist. That God's just spread out everywhere, is like splattered everywhere, and there's no personality. So it's divided up in everything. Like if you have, like, for example, one cake, and you cut it into 12 pieces, does the original cake exist? Oh no, I give Gulshan one piece, and I give Bob one piece, and Bhakti Mama
I'd have to say
one piece.
not
What happened to the original cake?
It's been distributed.
It's been distributed. It's gone everywhere, right? So the original cake doesn't exist anymore. So that's what the impersonalists think in relation to God. Okay, God was there, but then he's expanded himself. God has expanded himself into everything, into everywhere, into the heat and fire and the light of the sun and the moon and the taste of water and the fragrance of the earth and the strength, the strong, and intelligence and intelligent. And now the original God is gone now. But here, God himself explains that although he's expanded into everything, he still exists in his original spiritual being, in his original spiritual form. So God is like a cake that, although chopped up into millions of pieces, but the original cake is still there. So that's what's a bit inconceivable, because God is spiritual. He's not like an ordinary cake, because a material thing, right? Any material object, if you divide it up, then the original object is not there anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
If I like, sometimes Prabhupada would distribute an apple at the end of a class. In the very beginning of ISKCON, there was no fancy kitchens and facilities and cooks, and Prabhupada was the only cook in the beginning of ISKCON. So what he used to do, and because he can't do everything, so at the end of the class, he would just cut up an apple and distribute that. So if there was 20 people in the room, he'd cut it up into 20 pieces. So that was the prasadam. You'd get a 1/20th of an apple like that. And then where is that apple after it's been cut up?
It's been distributed.
Yeah, so the original apple doesn't exist anymore, right? So that's what the Mayavadis think. But they're thinking materially, like with an apple or a cake. But Krishna is not like a material object, like an apple or a cake. He's a spiritual being that, although he's expanding himself out since the beginning of time, you know, all these energies are radiating out from him, and yet he still remains as he is, without change. He's not changed by that in any way. And there's another example. You know, the sun is distributing energy every moment as we speak, right? I can see the sunlight is in where you are. You can see the sunlight is where I am. So that's all the sun is expanding out. And does the sun become reduced by that?
No.
And how long has that been going on for?
Millions of years.
And how much longer will that go on for?
A million more years.
But does the energy of the sun get reduced at all?
No.
No. In fact, it's said at the end of the universe, it gets 12 times hotter.
It's
12 times hotter. So it's not like an ordinary material thing that as soon as you distribute it, then it's gone. No, see, it's like that. Even the sun is a material object, but it's so powerful, even though it's all distributed, expanded, diffused, but it still remains the same. It's not getting any less. And the power is still the same. So like that, Krishna has distributed his energy everywhere, and yet he still remains. You know, and like, you know, we also sort of do like that on a small scale, what Krishna's doing. We have our energies, and it's not making us any less, is it? You know, like, you know, we have kids or whatever like that. Does that mean, you know, I've had 2 kids, so I disappear? No, it doesn't. It's 2 kids plus me, so it's just increasing, and then, I created a garden. I put my energy into planting 300 trees and so much things. Does that mean I've disappeared into 300 trees? No, like that. So we have many energies and do many things, but it doesn't mean that we vanish, that we just become, disappear into the space or into the air or something like that. No. So just we're doing that on a small scale, and Krishna's doing that on a big scale. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this verse is very nice. So by me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Yeah. So yeah, there's nothing except for Krishna's energy. There's nothing other than Krishna. Everything is Krishna's energy, and yet Krishna is separate from that energy. Just like that. Just like also, that our kids are our energy, right? They come from us. Kids come from us, and yet we're separate from our kids. It's like that. So, like that. Like that. But without us, the kids don't exist. Without us, the kids don't exist. So like that. But we're aloof from them, like that. So let's read the next one, which is also the same subject, text 5. So 9th chapter, text 5. We've gone from 4 to 5. Bob, do you want to read this one?
And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am a maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of the cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation.
Okay, let's read the purport to get a better understanding of the subject. Okay, you want to start it up, Gulshan?
The Lord says that everything is resting on Him. Mathastini seva bhutani. This should not be misunderstood. The Lord is not directly concerned with the maintenance and sustenance of this material manifestation. Sometimes we see a picture of Atlas holding the globe on his shoulders. He seems to be very tired holding a great earthy planet. Such an image should not be entertained in connection with the Krishna upholding this created universe. He says that although everything is resting on him, he is aloof. The planetary system are floating in space, and this space is the energy of Supreme Lord. But he is different from space. He is differently situated. Therefore, and Lord says, although they are situated on my conceivable energy as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am aloof from them. This is the inconceivable opulence of the Lord.
Okay, Bob, you want to read and just leave the Sanskrit out?
Okay.
And the Narukti.
Sorry?
In the Narukti. You can start from there.
Okay. In the Narukti Vedic dictionary, it is said,
just the Supreme Lord.
The Supreme Lord is performing inconceivably wonderful pastimes, displaying his energy. His person is full of different potent energies, and his determination is itself a natural fact. In this way, the personality of Godhead is to be understood. We may think of doing something, but there are so many impediments, and sometimes it is not possible to do as we like. But when Krishna wants to do something, simply By his willing, everything is performed so perfectly that one cannot imagine how it is being done. The Lord explains this fact. Although he is the maintainer and sustainer of the entire material manifestation, he does not touch this material manifestation. Simply by his supreme will, everything is created, everything is sustained, everything is maintained, and everything is annihilated. There is no difference between his mind and himself, as there is a difference between ourself and our present material mind, because he is absolute spirit. Simultaneously, the Lord is present in everything, yet the common man cannot understand how he is also present personally. He is different from the material manifestation, yet everything is resting on him. This is explained here in Yogam Ashvaram, the mystic power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So he has so many wonderful energies that take care of everything, that take care of creation. Like one of Krishna's energies is Lord Brahma, and he organizes everything about the creation of the universe. Another one of his energies, you could say, or expansions, is Vishnu, and he organizes the maintenance or sustenance of the universe. And another one of his energies or devotees is Lord Shiva, and he organizes the destruction of the universe. So just by his desire, he has this wonderful plan for a Brahma, a Vishnu, a Shiva, and it takes care of everything. He doesn't need to get involved. He's not like, the Greek, I think Atlas comes from Greek mythology, right? From Greek mythology. And you see that gigantic, like God, carrying the earth on his shoulders, So Krishna's not like that, straining to do everything, And we see that even a super rich person doesn't struggle hard. Like I said, he's playing golf. He's so clever that he's got other people to do all the hard work. He's not working hard. He just probably works a few minutes in the day, makes a few phone calls and like that and done. A real good businessman is like that.
That's why he struggles sleeping. He doesn't
well, then he's not really good. But the really good ones, they don't actually have to work hard. They're so clever. They get other people to do the hard work. They have many people working hard for them. But they're just working with their intelligence, very intelligent. And just say a few words. Like Prabhupada. Prabhupada was amazing. It's not that Prabhupada was lazy or anything. He was always active, of course, chanting and stuff, but he didn't have to do lots of hard work. For example, he would say just a few words. If you want to please me, distribute my books. That's one saying, right, of Prabhupada. If you want to please me, distribute my books. Very short, very sweet, but very powerful. And from those words, thousands of disciples would work hard day and night all over the world distributing those books. And hundreds of thousands of books were going out every year, hundreds of thousands, even maybe millions, every year. So many books. Just by Prabhupada's one sentence, if you want to please me, distribute my books. So that's the power of energy, you see? The leader is saying a few words like that. So much potency or energy is there. And then so many wonderful things are being carried out automatically from that point. So just magnify that up on a bigger scale. Just Krishna, just by his desire. And the universes are created, maintained, destroyed, and souls are coming into it and everything like that. But he doesn't have to be directly involved. Like Prabhupada wasn't directly involved in carrying the books around and going shop to shop and door to door and everything like that. It was just, he would just say it and then it would just happen. It would be carried out by so many wonderful devotees. Does that make sense?
Yep. Mate, just clear something up for me. I always thought Vishnu was a female.
No, Vishnu's male.
Male.
And he has a consort, or a wife, you could say, which is female, Lakshmi. So Lakshmi is the female,
Right.
and Vishnu is the male.
Right.
Vishnu is also called Narayana. Narayan. So say Lakshmi Narayan. Lakshmi Narayan. So like we say Radha Krishna or Hare Krishna. So that's the female, Hare or Radha, and then Krishna's male. Or we say Sita Rama. Sita Rama. So Sita is female, the consort, Lakshmi, and then Ram is male. You know, so God is male, but his energies are female. Energies are feminine. Actually, technically, every soul is female.
Only Krishna is male.
Yeah, only Krishna's male. So wrap your head around that. So even if you're in a male body in the spiritual world, of course, in the spiritual world, the body and the soul is not different. Or as Prabhupada's saying, also we read about the mind. The mind is not separate in the spiritual world. The body, the mind, the soul is all one absolute being. So even if you're in a male form, let's say a form, even if you're in the form of Krishna's father or Krishna's cowherd friend, or a bull in the spiritual world, but technically all those devotees are female. So what does that mean? Female means that you serve the male. You follow and you serve. That's what female doesn't just mean you have long hair and nice long eyelashes and breasts and everything like that. That's not what female means. Female in this sense means, which is called in Sanskrit Prakriti, and male in Sanskrit is called Purusha. So you have Purusha male and Prakriti is female. So Purusha means the leader. You get it? It means the leader, the boss, and means the one who makes the first step. And Prakriti is enjoyed. I mean, Purusha also means enjoyer. So Prakriti means enjoyed, ED, you know, and controlled, ED, you know, like that, and follower, you know, so that is what it means when it talks about male and female, not just the body. I mean, even Lord Chaitanya had, you could say, some feminine features, right? He has beautiful long hair, looks like a woman, right? Some people think, oh, Lord Chaitanya, he looks like a woman, you know, because beautiful long hair. So it's not just about what the body looks like, but it's about that you're the leader. You're acting as the leader, as the controller, as the enjoyer. And I'll give you different examples. With husband and wife, who is the Purusha and who's the Prakriti?
Well, the wife is the Prakriti and the husband is the Purusha.
Okay. With the mother and the child, who is the Purusha and who's the Prakriti?
Well, the mother is the Purusha and child is the Prakriti.
Yeah, you get it? So in a relationship with a husband, she's Prakriti, but in a relationship with the children, she's the Purusha. She's the controller. You get it? When she's dealing with her children, she is the controller. She's the leader. She makes the first step. She is in charge. But when she deals with a husband, she is serving. She is following, you know, like that. He is leading like that. So it's interesting. So you can see everything. You can see everything in that way of understanding male and everything is male and female in terms of that. You know, who's Who's making the first step? Who's responding? Who's the leader? Who's being led, following, like that? Who's the enjoyer? Who's enjoyed, like that? So that's some points about that. So does that make a little bit of sense, Bob?
Yeah, I follow that.
It's a bit different than what we're used to. It's determined by what your body looks like, whether you're male or female. But yeah, in the Vedas, it's more than that. It's more.
The problem is these days the woman doesn't serve husband.
I know, and therefore, what happens in the relationship? You know, it's like it's war, and it's dissatisfaction and a lot of unhappiness, suffering, and it doesn't work. It means the relationship doesn't work because they don't understand this concept of Purusha and Prakriti, male and female. They don't understand. They don't understand what position they're supposed to be in which circumstance. Like, hey, we talked about the husband and wife, right? So with a husband and wife, the husband's the Purusha, the wife's the Prakriti. But that same husband, when he's dealing with the guru,
the other way around.
He's Prakriti.
Vicky versa.
Yeah.
He's Prakriti, and the guru is the Purusha. Yeah. You know, I might be the boss at home, but when I go in front of my guru, I'm nothing. I'm a speck of, not even a speck of dirt. You know, I'm just a slave, you know, of the spiritual master. You know, like that. And you put the guru with Krishna. And so the guru is the Purusha and the disciple is the man is the Prakriti. But you put the guru with Krishna, then who's who? In the relationship between the guru and Krishna, who's Prakriti and who's Purusha?
Guru is a Prakriti and Krishna is the Purusha. Yeah.
But you say, hang on, you just said the guru is the Purusha. But now you're saying the guru is the Prakriti, and it depends on what the relationship.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep, I get it.
Yeah. So, and what that does, if you understand that, that makes all your relationships will work very nicely, very harmoniously. Okay, you deal with Krishna and you think you're the Purusha, what's going to happen? You'll end up like Shishupal, means he had his head chopped off.
That's right.
Like that. So, or Kamsa, you know, Krishna like got on his chest and pummeled him to death, you know, in the wrestling match in Mathura. So yeah, if you get it wrong, then it doesn't work. You know, don't try to boss Krishna around. You know, it doesn't work. You know, he's the boss. You know, if you don't understand that, then the relationship's not going to work.
You know, that's what the problem, the husband and wife relationship, that Prakriti wants to be equal to Purusha.
Yeah.
That's what the problem is.
Yeah.
They want equal rights.
Yeah. 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 And that doesn't mean that just because the wife, you know, follows the husband that she's never going to get what she wants. She's never going to enjoy or anything. No, but she gets what she wants even more better by doing that. Like if the wife serves the husband very nicely and the husband's pleased, then what's going to happen?
Well, if the Purusha pleased, you got a jackpot.
Yeah, then he's going to work very hard to give her whatever she needs, whatever she wants. Right. You know, but if she upsets her husband, then what is she going to get?
Nothing.
So you get what I mean. So that's it. Prabhupada mentions that's very intelligent psychology of the woman. You know, that she submissively serves the husband, tries to please the husband, because she knows that if she does that, then all of her desires are going to get fulfilled. You know, but it's just how you do it. Do you go forcibly by force? You know, give me what I want, otherwise, you know, all hell will, you know, you don't do it like that. If you attack the man, you know, it's not going to work. But if you serve very nicely, then he's going to become pleased and he's going to like that. But if you try to drag it out of him, you know, it's not going to work. You know, it's going to be war and, you know, they're going to lose, you know, so well, it's lose, and everyone loses. You know, if you don't understand the relationship, then everyone's life becomes very very unpalatable. So it's very sad. We have that, you know, we call it dysfunctional society, right? But what does it mean, you know, dysfunctional? Because we don't know who we are. We don't know that we're a spirit soul, we're not the body. But even apart from that, we don't even understand our bodily psychology and mentality, when we're supposed to act as a female, when we're supposed to act as a male, like that. We don't know. We don't know whether we're a soul. We don't know that we're part and parcel of God. We don't know whether we're male or female, or, you know, in which circumstances do we act as a male, and which circumstances do we act as a female. So, and therefore it's dysfunctional, you know, and no one's happy like that. So that's one of the purposes of ISKCON, to give this knowledge, you know, to give this knowledge, to educate people, you know. And if you haven't already seen it, I highly recommend, look up the 7 purposes of ISKCON. When Prabhupada started ISKCON in 1966, he went to America in 1965. 1 year later, he incorporated ISKCON. And when he incorporated ISKCON, he also wrote 7 purposes, which became the 7 purposes of ISKCON. So in there, it's mentioned a lot about things about educating people, the people in general, society at large, about these Vedic values and Vedic culture, you know, to teach people these things, because otherwise it's going to be chaos. And that's what we see. And now they have a term, right, for people that are really confused about who they are. Well, I can't even remember what the term is. It's like AGTPSV or something, or whatever. They have a term. You might not have even read about it, but LG, my wife's saying LGS, isn't it? LGS. But basically that term, it's got about 5 or 6 letters in it, covers every single possibility of what you might be. You know, I think L probably stands for lesbian, and G stands for gay. I suppose G stands for gay. So either you're lesbian or you're gay, or what
B,
is it? You know,
bisexual.
Huh?
B means bisexual. LGB.
Oh yeah, bisexual, or
There's
T
a Q
probably
there.
transvestite or something. Transvestite.
Yep, there's a Q there, isn't there?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. So yeah, just people don't have any idea who they are. They just create these mental ideas that I'm gay, or I'm lesbian,
Like,
or I'm this or
now
that. Or,
you fill the form. There's are you male, female, or there's a 2 other column there as well.
oh my God, that's sad. That's really sad.
There is. If you fill the form of Electoral Commission for for vote or something, there's a male, female, and there's the other 2 as well. And then
it used to be dangerous to address a woman as, you know, Mrs. or Miss, or, you know what I mean, Mrs. or Miss or Ms.
Yeah.
Ms. What is it? Ms., Miss, and Mrs.
Yeah.
So people were, you know, cautious about how they're going to call her. Are they going to call her a Mrs. or a Miss? But now it's got worse than that. You know, do we call them a man or a woman, or whatever like that, you know? So, I mean, that's sad, you know, it's really sad. And, yeah, but this is all because of ignorance, you know, and the mode of ignorance, like we were talking about the 3 modes, right? So this is people have got so much in the mode of ignorance and passion and no goodness, you know. Ideally, we should try to come at least to the material mode of goodness as a stepping stone. Prabhupada explains that the mode of goodness is a stepping stone to transcending, to entering to the spiritual platform. First of all, we need to come to the mode of goodness. You can't become spiritual directly from the mode of ignorance, directly from the mode of passion. First thing you need to get to is out of ignorance or passion into goodness. You know, like Prabhupada said many times, first become conscious. This is very important. Listen to this. First become conscious, then become Krishna conscious. It's another one of Prabhupada's really short, sweet statements. Like I said, if you want to please me, distribute my books. So another one is first become conscious, then become Krishna conscious. So what does that mean? What does it mean first become conscious? Conscious means knowledge. Knowledge is the symptom of the mode of goodness. So you could say first come to the mode of goodness, then become transcendental, then become spiritual, like that. So why do we follow the 4 principles? No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling.
Then we can fall in the mode of goodness.
Yes. Because it brings us immediately to the mode of goodness. It takes us out of ignorance and passion. Because as long as you're doing those 4 things, you're definitely in ignorance and passion. And you're going to get entangled in that. But following those 4 things immediately brings you to the mode of goodness. And then you follow those 4 things, and then you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then where does that take you?
To ISKCON temple.
What a Krishna consciousness, yeah.
That's right.
So first become conscious means in the mode of goodness, like I said, those 4 things, avoid sinful activities and do pious activities. And then from there become spiritual, from there become transcendental by chanting Hare Krishna and hearing about Krishna and everything like that, and doing devotional service like that. So that's very important. We shouldn't be slack with that. Don't think, I'm a devotee, I'm Krishna conscious, I can do any damn thing. No, you can't, mate. I'm sorry. You have to act in the mode of goodness. You can't, I'm going to chant Hare Krishna in the brothel, in the pub. Okay, good luck. But probably the Hare Krishna is going to stop after a while.
You can do Harinam in brothel. You can.
No, we do, and I've done also. But that means don't think that you can engage in sinful activity and at the same time be Krishna conscious.
There was one prostitute. She was like so much Krishna conscious, like she was treating everyone the same, like no matter rich or poor or wealthy or like sick or healthy or anyone, but she's so much in there, and then she was in the Krishna consciousness. I'm not a body. Yeah,
true. But what I would say, that example is an exception rather than the rule. That's an exception.
But
so
even if
sometimes someone might be doing a work like that as a prostitute, for example, just because it's the only way they know to maintain their family. They don't know any other job. Maybe even their mother was a prostitute. So they've been passed on, so that's all they know. They've never experienced any other way to make a living other than through that way. So they're just doing it because they have to do it to survive, and they don't like doing it and like that. So if that's the scenario, then yes, I agree, it's possible that it could be Krishna conscious. But if you actually like doing it, if you like doing that and hanging out with different men one after another and everything like that, then I really can't see how such a person could be Krishna conscious, because that's just too much sense gratification. Too much sense gratification doesn't mix with Krishna consciousness. You can't have both. Either you want Krishna to enjoy or you want to enjoy. Can you have both?
You want Krishna or this creation? One thing you can get.
Yeah. Can you think both ways at the same time?
No.
I want to be the center and I want Krishna to be the center at the same time. No, you got to choose, either I'm Krishna's servant or Krishna's my servant. Which one is it? Is Krishna meant to please my senses or I'm meant to please Krishna's senses? You can't do both, so, but if someone's just doing it because I hate this work, but I have to do it just to maintain my body and my family and like that, and I Krishna, please save me. And like there was one case, I do agree about these exceptions. There was one case also mentioned in the Vedas. One prostitute was doing her work on one side of the road. And many male customers were coming. And one Brahmana, who's supposed to be in the mode of goodness, he's studying the Shastra. He's studying the Shastra. But when he's on the other side of the street. But when he's supposed to be studying the Shastra, but he was actually looking looking over the other side at the prostitute. So while he was doing his work, he was thinking about the prostitute.
Yeah.
But while she was doing her work, she was looking over at the Brahmana. She would see him. Oh, he's so lucky. He's reading Bhagavad Gita. Oh, and then she remembered, oh, Krishna's driving the chariot for Arjuna. He loves his devotees so much. In that way, she was just so Krishna conscious. While she was doing her work, she'd become so Krishna conscious. And then in due course of time, she died. Where did she go?
She just born in a Brahman's family or something.
And she went back to Godhead.
To Godhead, yeah.
Because she was thinking about Krishna. And when the Brahmana died with his Bhagavad Gita,
become a prostitute.
He would have become a woman in his next life, probably a prostitute. So, so yeah, there is exceptions. I do accept that. But yeah, generally we should avoid those activities because they make us intoxicated. We think, oh, I can really enjoy in this world with sex and drugs and meat and money and women and all these things. So generally it has an intoxicating effect, these sinful activities. We're already intoxicated. We're already means an illusion. And then we're born into this world already an illusion. And then if you increase the illusion more with drugs and gambling and sex and meat and everything like that, then what is your position? It's just from bad to worse, like that. So don't, you're already in ignorance and like that. So let's look at that verse, 7th chapter, text 27.
7:27?
7:27. You got it.
No, I haven't got it yet. Gilshan must just press a button. He seems to be the quickest I've ever seen.
Oh, I don't want to read that. You go for it.
I haven't got it yet.
Oh, come on. You got Bhagavad Gita or not?
I got it now. You want me to read it?
Yeah.
O Scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate.
So we're already born. When did you become ignorant, by the way? Oh, when you were born. So right from day one, not right from even before you saw the light of day, you were completely in delusion. And not only it says illusion, but it says born in delusion. Do you know what the difference is between delusion and illusion?
Illusion is like, you can see. Delusion is just, you can't even see.
No, I mean, illusion is like ignorance, right? But delusion is like complete.
It's like what?
Ignorance. Complete. Completely ignorant. Illusion means ignorant, and delusion means completely to the top degree. So we're born in not just illusion, but delusion means complete ignorance, like that. And by the way, it's Scion. Oh, Scion of Bharata.
So
that's right. Scion is actually, I know this because it's a horticultural term.
Right.
So Scion is like a branch of a tree. The branch that they have the main trunk, and the branch that comes off the side branch is called a scion.
Right.
It's called a scion. So means like looking at a family tree, right? We talk about family tree. So Scion of Bharata means like he's a branch of that family tree. Bharata is like the trunk. He was like the original forefather. He's the ancestor of Arjuna's family. So Arjuna is like a branch from his family tree of Bharata, like that. So that's why it mentions that.
That's what we say, the dark of ignorance.
Yeah, that's why we say, I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master has kindly opened my eyes with a shining torchlight, transcend knowledge, therefore from my respectful obeisance to its lotus feet. So that's our starting point, is complete ignorance. So yeah, we have to come out of that, and the only way we're going to come out of that is with the Vedic scriptures and the mercy of the spiritual master, and the spiritual master and the devotees. So it's called Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. 3 things, very important. Guru, sadhu, and shastra. So guru means spiritual master, sadhu means saintly persons, that means the devotees that give us good instructions, and then shastra means the scriptures, that's the Vedic wisdom, scriptures. So this is where we get our knowledge from, to come out of delusion, Okay, we're nearly up for today, but we'll just read the purport as a short purport. So let's go back to our verse for today, 7:12, and just first one that gets there reads the purport.
All activities in the world are being conducted under three modes of material nature, although these material modes of natures are emanation from the Supreme Lord Krishna. He is not subject to them. For instance, under the state law, one may be punished, but the king, the lawmaker, is not subject to that law. Similarly, all the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are emanations from Supreme Lord Krishna, but Krishna is not subject to material nature. Therefore, he is nirguna, which means that these gunas are modes, although issuing from him, do not affect him. That is one of the special characteristic of Bhagavad, or Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So he created this whole material world, which is made up of the three different modes of material nature. But why do we need this knowledge that he's not affected by the modes? He's not under the influence or controlled by the modes. Why do we need to know that? Because when God comes to the material world, people in delusion, back to the word delusion, people that are deluded, people that are completely deluded in illusion, they think that when Krishna comes to the world, or when Ram comes to the world, or Nrsimha, that they're ordinary material beings, that they're under the modes of material nature. I think, oh, Krishna, he's in the mode of goodness. You know, Krishna was a Vaishya. He's a coward boy. He's a Vaishya. Or Krishna, later on, he went to Mathura. He acted like a Kshatriya. He killed Kamsa and like that. He was a Kshatriya. He was in the battle of Kurukshetra. He was a Kshatriya. Kshatriya is in the mode of passion. But no, this point here is he's beyond the modes. When God comes to the material world, he doesn't come under the control of the modes. He made the modes, but he is not controlled by them. He's the controller of the modes, even when he comes to the material world. So that's why these kind of points is very important to understand, that although Krishna created the modes of material nature, but he's not under the control of them, because he does come into the material world. But however, one should not think that just because he's come into the material world that he's like us. We're under the control, we're in delusion. Krishna's also in delusion, or Prabhupada's in delusion. No, they're not. You know, they're transcendental. So that's very important to understand, because many people see Krishna as just an ordinary person, maybe a powerful person, you know, but still a material being. That's
what Duryodhana is saying is a Krishna. It's an ordinary person, but Bhishma and then Arjuna, they seen differently. They can see it's God. Kunti seen he is a God, but Duryodhana, Dushasana, Shishupal, they were in the different mode. They didn't see that.
Yeah, true. So I'm leaving you with a bit of homework, and that's to read chapter 4, text 9, very famous verse, Janma Kama Chamedivyam, Evam Yo Vedi Tatvata, Chaktvadi Ham Punajanman, Iti Mamati Sojana. So that verse, very important verse. And that verse says, you can go back home, back to Godhead, just by understanding and truth. That Krishna's, when he comes to this world, Krishna's birth, his janma, and his karma activities are transcendental. Just by understanding that he's not an ordinary person. His birth is not... Chapter 4, text 9.
Yeah.
That's very important to understand. If that's all you can understand by the time you die, you're going back to Godhead. Just to understand that Krishna's birth in this world is transcendental and his activities are transcendental. He's not material. Doesn't have any material qualities. He's completely transcendental. Not only in the spiritual world is he transcendental, But when he comes to the material world,
his body not make up the five senses that our body is.
Yeah, his body's spiritual, his mind, his soul, everything. It's all. That's why we say absolute personality of Godhead. Absolute means it's all one.
Yeah.
It's not like us, it's called relative. There's the word absolute and relative. Absolute means it's all together. Relative means it's all separated. Yeah. So we have a separate body to a separate mind, separate intelligence, separate soul. But Krishna, his body, mind, intelligence, soul is all one entity, one spiritual form, like that. So that's your homework. Okay, Hare Krishna, have a nice. Yep, that's the plan. Krishna willing. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thanks so much.